Welcome, fellow freaks, geeks, and nostalgic peeps, to my channel, Slime and Slashers, where, yeah, we talk about everything from 80s and 90s nostalgia to horror movies and books and beyond. Today's video, though, it is another book-themed video, and I am super stoked about this one. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys every single Halloween and a few autumn-themed books that I own. So, my entire Halloween and autumn book collection from me to you. So, let's go to the short intro when we get back. I can show you the books. Welcome back, guys! Oh, I am so excited, like I said in the intro. So, the reason I decided to do this, I was really just gonna do a regular Halloween reading rec video talking about books that I have read that would be appropriate for Halloween because the books are set during Halloween or set in autumn time. However, after just having released my Carnival and Clown book collection video, I had so much fun doing that and filming that I decided to do the same thing for this. However, this is going to be over 100 books. There are books that I have read included. We'll start off with that, but then we will go into the books that I have not read, but that are definitely set during Halloween or that are set during autumn. And I will tell you that not all of these books are horror. Some of these are just middle grade books, modern middle grade. We also have vintage middle grade. We also have modern fiction that is just set in Halloween. And we've got vintage horror that is set during Halloween. So some of the books are horror, some are not. Let's just dig in and we will see everything. We'll go through it all together. Another reason I really wanted to do this video is because we've got my read-a-thon and watch-a-thon coming up. It's called Halloween-a-thon. It's also an activity-a-thon, and you don't have to do all aspects of it. You could just read, you could just watch, you could just do activities, or you can do a mixture of some of those things, or you can do all of those things. So no matter what you want to do, we've got you covered. There's lots of options. My announcement video is below if you want to learn more details, but all of these books will probably work for at least one prompt, if not more than one prompt. Also, I have a lot of other friends who are doing reading events or reading challenges. My friend Sarah from Wicked Reading is going to be announcing a very fun book-themed challenge soon, and a lot of these books could work for her challenge as well as for Halloween-a-thon and probably other events taking place around BookTube. And Halloween-a-thon will run from September 22nd, the first official day of fall, all the way through October 31st. If you don't want to start your reading on the 22nd, if you're someone who likes to start clean at the start of a month, then you could always just start on October 1st. So you can start whenever you want, but we are officially kicking off on September 22nd with sprints. But you can read these books at any time. These recs will work for you no matter when you want to start. Alright, more deets below, like I said, with the announcement video, but without further ado, let's get into the recs! Before I get into the books that I have read, I do want to point out a book that I have not read, but that it is my book club book for the month of October. By the way, guys, my book club is known as the Midnight Book Society. We do have a Discord. It is free and open to the public. I have not been doing live shows. I'm hoping to get back to those next year. So the October book will not have a live show, but it will have a discussion area. It's already set up in the Discord. Like I said, public, open to everybody, linked below. And our book for Flippin' October is The Halloween Moon. This is a cute little middle grade read. Definitely Halloween themed. It's set during Halloween, but it's not horror. It's got some spooky vibes, but I think it's more of just a fiction book, and it's got some really wonderful life observations and life lessons. My friend Lauren read this last year, loved it. That's one of the reasons why I was convinced to put it as my book club book for this upcoming October. Also, each of my co-hosts and a lot of my Monster Squad friends all have book recs and movie recs for Halloween-a-thon, and my co-host Lauren from Happy Haunts Library, who basically read this last year and put this on my radar, this is one of her official host book recs. So not only is it my book club read, but it is Lauren's host rec. So it might fit a prompt if you're trying to read some of the host recommended books. Next, I want to highlight another one of my Halloween-a-thon co-hosts, and that is Cameron Chaney, the author of Autumn Crow, as well as, where is it? Autumn Crow High, Fresh Hell, dun, 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 dun. He is one of my co-hosts, like I said. He runs the YouTube channel Library Macabre, and his book Autumn Crow is celebrating its 5th anniversary this Halloween coming up, and this is one of my official host book recs. So if you're trying to read one of my host book recommendations, this is an official one of those. And it is newly released on audiobook. That's how I'll be rereading this, with audio. And I'm so excited to experience what the audio is like, because the first time I read it years ago was with my eyeballs only. So this will be a new fun experience. If you want Halloween vibes, this has you covered. It's a short story collection. All of the short stories, though, take place in the town of Autumn Crow. And in the town of Autumn Crow, it is Halloween 24/7, so you can't get much more Halloween than the setting of this book. And the setting of the town of Autumn Crow is also the setting of Autumn Crow High, Fresh House, same town as in the Autumn Crow short story collection, and it's full of Halloween-y vibes. This has an actual beginning, middle, and end, but the story will continue on after this book is over, so just be aware that the story is going to continue onward, so you might be left with some questions. However, this is a great book too for Halloween if you have not read this one. It is also one of my friend's Monster Squad recs, my friend Mike. So check this one out too if you're looking for a Monster Squad book rec. Here's another one I've read, one of my host recommendations, The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury, one of the most appropriate seasonally fall-themed reads you could ever pick up, and this is so good. The language is a little lyrical, hard to digest sometimes. That's why I do suggest using the audio. This is such a good read, though, if you're into seasonal reading. Really wonderful. There's this amazing passage which starts on page... Is this it? No. It's a wonderful description of this tree full of pumpkins, this Halloween tree, of course, like the name of the book. And it just goes on for pages how beautifully that this tree was described. It starts on the beginning of chapter 5 with the description of all the pumpkins. It's just beautiful. Another book I'd like to highlight is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. Such a wonderful fall read. Again, much like Halloween Tree, you can't get more seasonal than the setting and the vibes of this book. Again, though, much like the Halloween Tree, this one does have some lyrical, very flowery language, which might not work for everyone, so when in doubt, I think audio is your friend. I highly recommend this one. Also has carnival vibes, which to me screams fall as well, so Dark Carnival, sign me up! And another highlight for my co-host Cameron Chaney, one of his book recs is Greetings from Moon Hill by Anthony J. Rapino. I love this book. It is much like Autumn Crow in that all of the stories, this is an anthology, all of the short stories in this collection are all set in the town of Moon Hill, and Moon Hill is a town in which it's like it's Halloween all of the time, kind of like Autumn Crow. So if you like stories that are all tied together, then you might like this collection of stories. I gave this one like 4.5 stars when I read it, and I read it because of Cameron. Also, I read his other host rec as well, which is a wonderful Halloween-y slasher. It might not work for everyone because it's a little over the top, but I thought it was a lot of fun. Okay, moving on, we're still talking about books that I have read. This is Taste Like Candy. I've talked about this before, including in my recent carnival-themed book collection video. Won't go into it too much here, but this is a wonderful slasher book. It is set at an abandoned Halloween carnival, but beware, this is a slow burn. You do have to get to know the characters, so you have to wait a little bit for the slashing to start. Basically, it starts in the last third of the book. However, it is worth the wait, as some of the kills are the most creative kills that I've ever read, and it really does wonderfully utilize the carnival setting. So, it's not just any carnival, by the way, though. Like I said, it's a Halloween-themed carnival, which makes it even better. Next up, a wonderful thematic Halloween middle grade read, a more modern middle grade read, written by my friend Robbie Miles. Check this out. This is The Time Watchers. Very cute, especially if you're looking for something to read alongside your kids, because this is something that the whole family could enjoy. We've got a group of friends, and they get mixed up with this really creepy Halloween witch and all of these Halloween-like creatures, and they have to try to get out of the little scenario that they're in. And it's just very cute. Definitely has some nostalgia vibes as well, even though it is set during modern times. A book that gets a lot of hype around this time of year, every year, that is Dark Harvest by Norman Partridge. I did read this. It's a quick little novella. Read it about a few years ago. There is this competition in this small town, and groups of teenage boys try to confront and defeat the October Boy. That's essentially the main premise, but there's more to it than meets the eye. I liked it, but it wasn't my very favorite read. There was just something missing for me, and I don't know what that is, but it was still a solid read. Still would recommend because the vibes are strong when it comes to Halloween vibes. It definitely has those. I ended up giving it, I think, a 3.5 or 4-star rating, which is solid for me. Another book that gets a lot of hype this time of year is Kill Creek, and I will warn you that only part of this book is set during Halloween. The rest takes place over a longer period of time. We've got horror authors who gather in a notorious haunted house to discuss their writing, and then the haunting kind of gets involved in their lives, and they have to, see what's up and learn what's going down and why are they involved. Next, we have something that leans more cute versus more spooky. This is Pumpkinheads, a wonderful graphic novel. I really enjoyed this, and I think this will be great for people who don't really like horror, or even if you do like horror and you want to lighten things up, this could be very cute. Examines friendship, and it's got really hardcore autumn vibes. I know I keep saying that, but that's why I own these books, because they scream autumn and Halloween. Some people read horror all year long. I do, but when it comes to Halloween time, I kind of try to read specifically books that are set during Halloween, not just horror books, books that have a Halloween or autumn setting. That is what I'm going for. That is why I have this collection. And this one really fits in perfectly because the vibes, mwah, chef's kiss. Here's a short story collection. Not my favorite, but I did end up giving it 3.5 stars. This is Mr. Glowbones. I do love the cover. I think the cover is so cool. Reminds me of my co-host Katrina Brown. Check out her channel. She is fabulous. She's, again, like I said, a co-host of Halloween-a-thon. She has this exact shirt. So every time I see this cover, I'm like, Katrina! That's one of the reasons why I like it so much, but my favorite story in here is basically the title story about this little character, this skeleton guy, Mr. Glowbones, but the rest is decent. He has another collection that I have not read, Ronald Kelly, the author, but this one I did read, and I ended up giving it a 3.5. Here we have another novella. This one's definitely dark. It's got some grief elements in it, and some just really dark tones to it. This is The Last Night of October by Greg Chapman. Very short. It takes place on Halloween night. A man, he's stuck in his home. He needs a nurse to come help him. The nurse ends up being late, and that is bad news for him because every Halloween he tries to basically lock himself in his house and not come back out until the morning time, and there's a reason for that, and we learn why as the reader. So like I said, dark, but also wonderfully atmospheric and worth reading. I do apologize, my dog Jackson is snoring, and I know you could probably hear it. I can hear it very well, but there's nothing I can do. I don't want to disturb him, he looks so cute. So please excuse me, I apologize. Hopefully you guys aren't bothered too much. Next book, When Halloween Was Green. If you like frickin' maximum Halloween vibes, this is such a fun story. However, I have one big criticism, and that is that it's way too long and repetitive. It's such a shame. This would be 5-star vibes 100% if it weren't for the repetition and just the length in general. But I had a good time reading this. It did take me a long time, though, when I read this a couple of years ago, just like I said, because of the length and because some parts just kind of covered the same ground a little bit. We've got a group of kids, I think it's 2 siblings, and they help run a haunted attraction, and something's going down, having to do with Irish mythology, the roots of Halloween, which of course are Celtic. And there's all kinds of Celtic lore in here, which I love. I'm big into Irish things, so that's another reason why I love this. So if you're like me and like that type of stuff too, you might like this. But again, just wish it was a tiny bit shorter because it would have been a 5-star, but it was basically a 4-star, maybe 3.75 rounded up to 4. Still very much worth reading though, and checking out and seeing if you will drive with it too. Here we have another book I have read and loved. This is a vintage book, so beware. There are some probably problematic things if you compare it to today's standards, but this has ultimate autumn vibes, definitely folk horror, but it's a slow burn, so be aware. But I gave this 5 stars, really enjoyable, just really loved the kind of slow burn tension and the creeping dread that this book contains. It's not for everyone, but if you're willing to give it a chance and you're okay with a slow burn and you like folk horror especially, I would say, yeah, give it a chance, try it out, see if you like it. Back into more middle grade reads. Here we've got a book from the Monster Street series by J.H. Reynolds, and actually I'm going to show 2 of the books in his series, because I also have this one. This is Carnival. This is The Halloweeners. Both are very Halloween-y and appropriate for fall time or for October itself. I love both of these very, very much. Very cute. Kind of like a modern spin-off of Goosebumps, but really with a lot of heart and super, super cute. I think my favorite out of these two is going to be Carnival, but you really can't go wrong with either. In fact, in my Carnival themed video, I forgot to show Carnival, but this should have been included in that, but at least I'm featuring it now, because like these, you just can't go wrong. If you like middle grade books and you know, you don't mind that it's not necessarily written for an adult, but you can still enjoy it as an adult, then I would give these a chance, because both were 5 stars for me. Very, very enjoyable and heartfelt. And now let's talk about some vintage middle grade. Now, these are foreign editions of a Goosebump book, and that Goosebump book is The Haunted Mask. I do have the original American version of The Haunted Mask, the old school version, but it's in a pile, in my organized Goosebumps pile, and I don't feel like pulling it out. But I love these foreign editions, kindly gifted to me by my friend Benjamin. Thank you so much, Benjamin. You're the best. I love you. And I always have these sitting on my desk on display, so these were easy to grab, and I thought, might as well show off these insanely amazing covers. Look at this. So spooky. The Haunted Mask is about as Halloween-y as you can get. Takes place on Halloween night. This poor girl, what is her name, Carly Beth? Carly Beth friggin' gets picked on so badly. She wants to try to scare people for once, so she gets this really off-putting mask, but it seems like she can't take it off. I know a lot of you guys know the story already, but if you haven't read it, or if it's been a long time since you read it, it could be legitimately the most perfect Halloween read ever, so check it out. Here we have yet another Ray Bradbury book, and this one's a collection of short stories. In fact, I gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite short story collections of all time. This is the October Country. I will warn you and say that not every story is an October-themed story or a fall or autumn story. However, there are a few in here that are definitely autumnal, and I do highly suggest this because I loved it. I used audio to listen to as I read along, and it's one of my favorite collections ever. A master. But I do want to add that it's quiet horror, so don't expect, you know, tons of gore or fast-paced action or thrilling spooks. It's not like that. It's quiet, but it's elegant, and it's fantastic in my opinion. Speaking of elegance, this is Slewfoot by Bram. Love Bram's writing. He does have a Christmas-themed book called Krampus, which I also love. Krampus the Yule Lord, that one was so good. This one I love as well, both 5 stars. This one I like a little bit less than Krampus the Yule Lord, but they're almost neck and neck. This is perfect, though, for autumn, because, of course, our main character is accused of being a witch. Witches, Halloween, I feel like it goes hand in hand. And if you're someone who likes beauty in your books, I would suggest, don't just listen to this, check out a copy from your library, because there are fantastic illustrations in this, done by Bram himself. He's a very talented guy, I gotta say. So it is worth seeking out a physical copy just to look at the illustrations alone. And even if you just get it from the library, it'll be worth it so that you can look as you read along. Again, there's like creepy creatures here. Fantastic stuff. Okay, last but not least, the last book I've read from my entire collection is The Autumnal, and this is an insanely wonderful graphic novel. I honestly had a ball with this book because the story was really intriguing, and sometimes graphic novels, the story leaves me wanting more. To me, sometimes the story can be lacking, but here this was not the case, and this has a story that definitely has folk horror vibes. Check it out, and it does have some great art in it too. I don't really like how the people are drawn per se, but I do love the way the leaves in this are drawn. So this definitely has, you know, strong fall foliage? Whatevs, you know what I'm trying to say. I can never say that word. Just forget it. Pretend like I said it perfectly, but you know what I'm saying. It's got wonderful leaves and other fall imagery. Alright, transitioning into the books I have not read, I have Halloween Night 2. I have read Halloween Night. Where is my physical copy? I have no idea. So I could not show it to you as part of the books I have read. I don't know where it is. But here is Halloween Night 2, which I have not yet read, and I love this cover. I love it more than the Halloween Night cover. This is fantastic. Of course, this is a book by R.L. Stine. It is It is part of the Point horror series, and I love staring at this cover. It's one of my favorite Halloween-themed covers that I own. Here, another R.L. Stine book. These are 2 editions of the same book. We've got a UK copy, I believe, and a US copy, and this is part of the Fear Street series, Halloween Party. I like this cover better overall, but this one's nice too. Sticking with the vintage YA theme, here we have another point horror book. This is Trick or Treat by Richie Tankersley Cusick, and I do believe I have another edition of this book. Where'd you go? I know it's somewhere. Well, we'll see if it pops up in one of my enormous piles that you cannot see off camera, but here is one of the editions. I also have a very holographic edition as well, somewhere. Here we have Meddling Kids by Edgar Quintero, and I believe this is one of our Monster Squad peeps book recs. I just can't remember which person on the squad recommended this. This has definite Scooby-Doo type of vibes, and oh, I am so excited to get to this. I don't know if it'll be this year, but I love how neon and bright the cover is. In fact, we've got a prompt about that called Suspiria, talking about to either watch a movie that features vibrant colors in the film or on the poster, or a book with vibrant colors or neon colors on the book cover. And this would fit for the book portion of that prompt, of course. Here we have a newer released book. This is Cruel Nature. It's a collection of 7 terrifying tales to trouble your sleep. Of course, this is kind of like a nod to scary stories to tell in the dark. And this was kindly sent to me by the author. Thank you so much. It came in the cutest package, and it's got some really creepy, fantastic illustrations. Look at this eye, and there's like a creepy figure in the eyeball. Love stuff like this. I cannot wait to dig into this. I'm not sure if any of the stories take place during Halloween, but because of the similarities I feel to scary stories to tell in the dark, it just feels appropriate for Halloween time. So I'm putting it in this pile. Please excuse me if it doesn't fit, but I feel like it fits. I almost forgot another old school YA book. This is October Moon, and you got a werewolf howling at the moon.
Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? You should be. Oh!
Here we've got a vintage Richard Lehman, you know, my king of trash. Anyway, my Lamey boy. Pay no attention if you're new here, please excuse me. Don't go up and pick up a Richard Lehman book. It really is not for everyone. It's very off-putting, extreme, problematic, blah, blah, blah. But are his books like B-movies in book form? Yes! And that's why I like them, because they're trash, they're fun. They're something that you could just mindlessly ingest, essentially, with your eyes. So here are 2 editions of the same book, All Hallows Eve. I've not yet read it, but I look forward to reading it one day. Here we have a modern middle grade series, Creep Over, No Trick or Treating, super scary, super special. I love this. And on the back, they always have a little creepometer, which tells you how scary it is. Another modern middle grade series. This is the first book in a series, Small Spaces, by Catherine Arden, and I hear that this one is fantastic and spooky, and there's a scarecrow involved. Definitely perfect for autumn time, and I'm one of the last people on earth to have not read this, so we will see. I'm definitely planning on fitting this in this spooky season, so fingers crossed that I can get to it, because it's time. I need to get to it. Here we've got another middle grade book, but this is kind of a lesser known one. This is Moon Sung Presents Octobers, from the imaginations of J.H. Reynolds, who I love, and Craig Cunningham, Book 1, The Time Crystal. Here we've got The Legend of Decimus Croom, and this is kind of like a Christmas Carol, but make it Halloween. So it says A Halloween Carol, and this is by Kevin Purdy, P-U-R-D-Y.
Decimus Croom is a despicable fellow who hates all holidays, but especially despises Halloween. However, Croom's life is transformed one memorable Halloween when 4 ghastly spirits pay him a visit to reveal the misery he has inflicted upon his friends, neighbors, and family members.
So, I cannot wait. I am hoping this year, maybe? We'll see, but doesn't it sound fantastic? I mean, come on. Christmas Carol, make it Halloween? Yes. And if you're looking for Halloween short story collections, do I have some for you to look at here? I'm not going to go through the synopses. I'm just going to show you them. If any strike your fancy, please look them up further. Here we have an old school vintage collection, 13 Horrors of Halloween. Got this beat up copy, I'm sure, from thrift books. Yep. And look at this fantastic cover. If only it was in good shape. Another vintage collection of stories. This is Halloween Horrors, edited by Alan Ryan. I have heard fantastic things about this particular collection. Here we've got Before Halloween by Killian H. Gore. And it's 13 short stories that will entertain, surprise, and scare you. It says, he invites you to a horror movie-infused landscape of terrifyingly weird tales. Here we've got another collection by Ronald Kelly. I believe this is the one that was published first, before Mr. Glowbones. And this is the Halloween Store. And I've heard good things about this one, but I have not yet read it. But I love the cover. And this dude kind of reminds me of Tom Hanks and kind of looks like Tom Hanks as David Pumpkins. But it's a decapitated pumpkin head. Another collection of short stories. Think Are You Afraid of the Dark? Kind of similar vibes. This is the October Society, Season 1, and this is by Christopher Robertson, so it's meant to be a collection of tales that kind of have like this whole vibe of stories told around the campfire, and it's just basically going to feel like an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode in a book. Sign me up, honestly. These aren't all Halloween themed, but I think some of them are. This is The Moon Will Look Strange by Linda E. Rucker. Look at this fantastic cover with these creepy leaves, one that looks like a hand, things that go bump in the night. A collection of original stories edited by Jane Yolen and Martin H. Greenberg. Here's a collection, a very unique collection that I found out about from Cameron Chaney from Library Macabre, Devil's Night by Curtis M. Lawson, and all of these stories surround Devil's Night, which was the night before Halloween, and it says, Lawson weaves together 14 tales inspired by the infamous Detroit Devil's Night and the legend of the Nain Rouge. Venturing back to October 30th, 1987, you, the reader, will find yourself plunged into a city on fire, and where not, decaying like a tooth from within. I know Cameron said that this was emotional, dark, and really, really well written. Here we've got a vintage book published back in 1987. It is signed by the author, and this is 30 Chilling Tales, Short and Shivery. I heard about this book collection from my friend Kat over at Kat's Novel Adventures. She did read this collection either over a few years or I can't remember, but this is a Newbery Halloween, kind of vintagey stories, a dozen scary stories by Newbery award-winning authors. And look at this fantastic illustration on the cover. Here we've got one of the most well-known collection of Halloween-themed short stories, and that is October Dreams. This is vintage, it is hard to find, but it's harder actually to find the second book of this collection, October Dreams 2. That's pretty much one of the books on my ultimate dream wish list of books, because every time you see it go for sale online, it's like outrageous. But I really want that one really bad. I've read a few stories from this collection, and it's not just stories, but also the authors. Some authors in here give their experiences of Halloween from their past, like Halloween memories, and yeah, it's fantastic. Lots of people talk about it and tout it for good reason, but good luck getting to October Dreams 2, and I'm basically saying that to myself because I'll never own it probably, but I really want to. But at least I have this one, and this one is a little bit, like I said, easier to find, but I'm still happy to own it. Next up, we've got Halloween Season, stories by Lucy A. Snyder, and it says, Not Your Kids' Halloween. Here we've got Dead Leaves by Keelan Patrick Burke, and how many stories? 9 tales from the witching season. Here we've got This Is Halloween by James A. Moore, 10 Tales of Terror by Bram Stoker Award nominee. And I gotta say, it's great to own all of these short story collections, but I really shouldn't have so many because I'm not very good about reading short story collections. Why do I have like 20 of them for Halloween? I don't know. And coincidentally, you'll actually find more Halloween short story collections than you will actually standalone novels that are set during Halloween. I don't know why that is, or maybe I just haven't heard of more and I should do more research, but I've tried over the past couple of years and I just wish there was more. However, there are a lot on my TBR this year that I don't own, that I will talk about, that are standalone stories, so stay tuned, there's still more to come. Just things that I don't own. Alright, and last short story collection, but not least, we've got A Haunted Halloween. Technically I can't say and not least because I haven't read any of these that I'm showing you, but this is by Paul Melnick. Probably not said right, but of course we got creepy scarecrows on the cover. Alright, next up we've got middle grade. First up, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch book that was gifted to me by Cameron and my friend Benjamin. Thank you guys. This is Harvest Moon. Here we've got a book gifted to me by my friend Andrew from It Came From the Page, Vampire Express. It's a choose your own adventure. You're the star of the story, and I love how it's vampire and train themed.
You're in the heart of vampire country, and there's no turning back. You're on a vampire hunt in the deepest in deepest Romania with your Uncle Andrew.
Did you give this to me because your name is the uncle? That's so funny.
And your friend Nina. You're riding horseback toward an eerie castle when a thick fog rolls in. Suddenly you're surrounded by wolves. Your uncle races ahead. What are you doing, Uncle Andrew? But Nina is thrown off her horse and disappears into the fog. What should you do?
I love this. Thank you, Andrew. Uh-oh, we got a crasher! We got a crasher! Why are you burping in the camera? Do you need to go outside? Do you need to go? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna take him out. I am back! And our next book is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Rip Van Winkle. And I really liked this edition. Next, we've got a Bailey School kids book. We've got Frankenstein doesn't start food fights, but clearly he does. Nate the Great and the Halloween Hunt. Here we've got Maggie and the Halloween Bandit by Kim Posey Jones.
Are you kidding me? Whatever.
That's what it looks like she's saying or something. Here we've got Halloweenies, written by David Wisniewski. But look how cute it looks. I've got to take this frickin' half-price books. Oh, Second and Charles sticker off. 2002, so not that vintage, but still pretty vintage compared to 2024, I guess. If you like the Halloween-town movies, this is a book kind of related to the movies. Tales from Halloween-town, The Witch's Amulet. The troubles brewing in Halloween-town. Oh, but it takes place during summer. I don't know if I would read this during freaking Halloween time, but still. It's cool to own. Halloween Echo, I love this cover. Horrible Harry at Halloween. Gotta take the sticker off this one too, of course. Halloween Treats. Cute. By Caroline Haywood. Carolyn. Can I not speak? Halloween.
Jack-o'-lantern burning bright, what is this horrific sight?
Says the back of the book. Another gift from my friend Cameron. This is Sweet Valley Kids. It's Halloween! The worst, crossed out, best Halloween ever by Barbara Robinson. 2 books. Look at these holographic covers. We've got Monster Mayhem and Hubble Bubble, Cauldron Trouble. Here we've got the last vintage middle grade book, Dunk's Halloween. And now for a modern middle grade series, we've got a book from the Scareville series. This is How to Create a Monster, and look at these awesome freaking candy corn teeth. Oh, hell yeah. John Ward is the author. We are almost done. We're in the home stretch here. We're just going to go over some vintage horror books. And let's talk about Al Sorrentonio. Al Sorrentonio has written quite a few Halloween-themed books. In fact, let me gather them all together here. And I own quite a few of them. There's a trilogy of books that all take place in the same town. I think it's called Orangefield. And it's Horrorween, Hallows Eve, and Halloween Land. And I read one of them last year. I think it was Horrorween. So I'm hoping to read the second book in the series, upcoming here soon. Then we've got some that I hear the covers are better than the insides. First off, we have Lisa W. Cantrell's Torments. And I think this is the second book in the series. I think there's another one. I can't remember the name. Oh, The Manse. M-A-N-S-E. I don't have that one. Another author who's written a few Halloween-y books, when we are talking about vintage horror authors, is David Robbins. Here we've got Halloween and Prank Night. I think I started reading this last year but didn't finish it. The cover's amazing, though. Next up, another amazing cover. We've got The Alchemist, and this is by Les Witten. Like I said, I think the story, though, isn't as good as this great cover here. Same old story with this book, too. Great cover. I don't know about the inside. I heard bad things, but who's to say what's true? This is Pranks. half human head, half pumpkin head, or pumpkin in general, getting axed. Heck yeah. And here we've got a book by Douglas Clegg called The Halloween Man. More scarecrows. Here we have a book called Scarecrow, and it's by Richie Tankersley-Cusick, who has written a lot of vintage YA books, especially point horror books. I don't know if this is YA or not, but I'd like to read it, and this cover is fantastic. Here we've got The Thief of Always by Clive Barker. I do have a hardcover edition of this somewhere, which has fantastic illustrations. Now, this story does take place across several different seasons, I believe, Halloween and Christmas, but there's a big Halloween-y part, so I just wanted to include this, just to say that I've heard that this is great to read for either Christmas or Halloween, and it's got vibes for both. And quickly, we've got some modern Halloween books. These are all standalone stories. This is a modern edition, but it's an old school book. This is The Monster Club by R. Chetwynd Hayes. I think this is from Valancourt, this edition, I don't know. Yes, I really like this cover. Here we've got a book that was kindly gifted to me by my friend Amy from Amy Noel Reads. I'll link her channel and her Instagram down below. This is Kill Your Pumpkins, and this is by Judith Sonnet, and she usually writes extreme horror, but I know lots of people who love this book, even people who aren't, like, really into extreme horror, so I am excited, and it's a quick novella, so I'd love to get to this. Another book I forgot to mention in my Carnival collection, here is Halloween Land by Kevin J. Kennedy.
An action-packed coming-of-age horror tale full of twists, turns, and unexpected adventures. Zach and Wendy are a couple of horror buffs who love Halloween, and their sleepy rundown little town, an exciting attraction, promises to inject some life into the place for one special night only, a traveling carnival making its debut on Halloween. Anticipation builds, mysterious Halloween Land Carnival is the talk of the town. The two teenagers are eager to be among the first visitors. Revelations unfold, mysteries peek from the outer limits, the kids have to think and act fast to defeat the evil that's come to the town, and it's nothing like in the movies.
This sounds great. I forgot I even owned this book, and now I want to read it, damn it. I already have a packed TBR, but now I want to add this one to it. Halloween Land. Here we have The Witch of Halloween House by Jeff Degordick. That's probably completely wrong, but great cover. Ignore me mispronouncing his name. I love the cover. Here we have more of an emotionally charged story, The Magic Hour. A delightful story that explores the moral feelings of a 9-year-old boy when his twin brother suddenly dies. The spell of the magic hour will touch the childlike part of each reader and rekindle the hopes and dreams we each hold dear. So probably a tearjerker, it sounds like. Here we've got a more extreme book, I believe, All Hallows Dead, a novel by Brian Smith. And by the way, it is a slasher, it does say here. Here we've got a modern YA book, and it's the second book in a series. This is the second book in the Mina and the Undead series. This is Mina and the Slayers. Definitely set during Halloween, and set in my home city of New Orleans. I've heard that this is a good Halloween read, however, I don't know exactly what time of year this is set around. This is a cosmology of monsters, I can speak, by Sean Hamill. And here we've got a book called Polybius. It's by David Irons.
There's a new game at the arcade, and it's killer!
It takes place in the 80s, around Halloween in October. About like a mysterious game.
It's gonna be game over for everyone!
Says the back of the book. Some picture books and graphic novels, not many. Creepshow by Stephen King. Very cool. Comic. Here we've got a little zine, Bookworms, Halloween issue. I was saving this. I'm gonna read it this Halloween. Here is a cute and short Choose Your Own Nightmare book, The Halloween Party. A vintage book, Cat Witch, and this is written by Lisa Tuttle, and I love Lisa Tuttle, so I'm excited to check this out.
The tale of a cat who becomes a witch.
The back of the book says. One of the cutest books I've ever read. You could read it any time, but because it features a ghost, it is really appropriate for Halloween time. Sir Simon, super scarer, and it's so cute. It's about this little ghosty who's haunting this house. Then a kid moves in and he tries to get the kid to do his ghostly chores and blah, blah, blah. It's so cute. I don't want to spoil it. It's just the cutest ever. I loved it. And Richard Lehman wrote a kids picture book. Yeah! Who knew the king of trash would dip his toe into writing kids books? Nobody. Nobody thought that. Nobody would have guessed it. But this one's really cute. I read this a couple of years ago. It is expensive to find online, but I splurged and bought it because I love mice. I used to have pet mice. So that's one of the reasons why I really, really liked it. And also, I had to see for myself what a Richard Lehman kids picture book was like. And it's very simple, but it is super cute. But don't go and try to find it and spend a lot of money on it. It's very short, so, you know. I don't know if it would be worth it for everybody, but for me, the mouse, it makes it for me. Alright, and I swear, last stack, here we've got Halloween-adjacent things and movie novelizations and tie-ins. This is not a novelization or a tie-in, but this does remind me of Halloween time, especially because the movie does, specifically the adaptation, the old school one, not the new one, but The Witches by Roald Dahl. I want to read this one day, I still haven't read it. Here we've got a YA Frankenstein retelling called Helga, and I was just kindly gifted this by the publisher. Thank you so very much. It's an advanced reading copy, but by the time you guys see this video, it should be out because it was released in August of 2024, so yes! If you like Frankenstein retellings, this one might be up your alley. Here we've got a cute junior novelization of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Very, very cute. Also, by the way, the audiobook, there's an audiobook new version of The Nightmare Before Christmas novelization, and it's fantastic. It is so good. Highly recommend if you're looking for a wonderful audiobook to listen to and a great story that expands upon the movie. I highly recommend that one. I'll put up a picture of the book cover. But I'm glad to own the little junior novelization. It's a different thing than the audiobook I'm talking about. That is a new adult novelization, like full-length novelization. This is just a short little junior one. Another novelization. Here we've got the novelization of Ghostbusters 2. I wish I had Ghostbusters 1, but hey, it's still fun. Here is an Addams Family novelization. And here we've got a Wishbone book, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And dun da da da, the creme de la creme. Here we've got the newly released special edition Halloween Illustrated. So this is the old school Halloween novelization republished in a new edition with tons of amazing art. It's hard to hold it up. Let's try to find a really good one. Oh, here's a good one. Here you can see the shape and Tommy. I love the movie. This is my favorite, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And to have the novelization with all these wonderful illustrations is very exciting. Look at the back real quick. Special limited edition. And quickly, I just want to mention this short story collection. I'm not sure if it's completely Halloween related, but this does say, at a Halloween party in 1990, a writer slept with the devil. So, you know, that starts off this whole story. It was a party in 1990 that's Halloween themed. She sees the devil again and again throughout her life, and she writes stories for him about things that are both impossible and true. So just in case you're looking for something that's not even spooky, but it still mentions Halloween, this might be for you. Craft Stories I Wrote for the Devil by Ananda Lima, and this was kindly gifted to me by the publisher. So thank you so very much to Tor for gifting me this copy. Oh my god, I hope you guys are still around. I hope you're not, like, just passed out from watching me for too long. But thank you so much for sticking with me during this long video. I appreciate you guys. Have you read any of the books that I own in my Halloween and Autumn collection? Let me know down below if so. Have you read any of the ones I have already read? If so, let me know your thoughts. Anything you want to comment is totally cool with me. If you just want to leave an emoji to tell me you were here, how about leaving a cute pumpkin or ghost emoji for Halloween time? And don't forget to check out my announcement video for Halloween-a-thon if you haven't already. We want to make it a huge community event, so please consider joining in. It would mean the world to me. For this time, guys, that is it for me though. Till next time, you guys know what you can do. Keep on killing it and get ready to get spooky for spooky season.